All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, April 5th. We have a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3, 4 more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. And in terms of how we did yesterday, it ain't no coincidence as to why I'm wearing this money gun hat. A 6-0 money gun worth of a sweeping of a night. Let's go. 6-0. We just rhymed. Yankees money line, that cashes. Diamondbacks money line, that cashes. We're not going to do the chink for all of them. Rangers and Rays nerfy, that comes through. Royals money line, they battle back. And then our late 2 ads that we got in, I would say, 45 minutes before these games, tipped off, to use an NBA term. Cubs first 5 money line. They were tied in the bottom of the 5th, and they come through. And then Rockies team total under. We faded science, faded altitude, and that came through as well. A 6-0 night. Let's pump in some damn crowd noise there. We've had a decent start to the MLB season now. I'm probably jinxing the heck out of it right now, but losing days are few and far between. We did have one 2 days ago, but boom, we bounced back with a 6-0 night. Now, we're still being pretty conservative to start the season, right? These are all quarter unit plays and that type of thing. So unfortunate a 6-0 night comes, I guess at the small cost of quarter units there. But nonetheless, a 6-0 night, we can feel pretty damn good about that. Like I said, we have a jam-packed slate to dive into today. Let's go ahead and do so, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Money gun hat, fademe.store. Go ahead and check it out. Let's go and dive into these games. Starting it off here with Detroit taking on the White Sox. On the mound for Detroit's going to be Reese Olson going up against Davis Martin of Chicago. Detroit's huge. They are huge favorites in this one, which makes sense. I mean, they win 7-4 yesterday. You could have gone first 5 run line, like we said, or even just the full game run line, right? And would have been okay. Jack Flaherty pitched all right into the 6th inning. Reese Olson, in terms of his first start of the year, I'm not going to say it was all that great, but I do have the caveat that it was against the Dodgers, right? He went 4 2/3, 4 hits, 4 earned runs. I think he let up a home run, if I'm not mistaken. 5 strikeouts, just 1 walk. Davis Martin, on the other hand, went up against the Angels, and he actually pitched really well. 6 innings pitched, no earned runs. Did walk 2 guys, struck out 2. Only pitched the ball 14 or 15 times per inning. But again, we have to throw the context in there that Reese Olson's first start was against the Dodgers. Way better offense than Martin's start here against the Angels. In this one, I think it's pretty much exactly what I would have said yesterday and did say yesterday, actually, is this is probably a Detroit spot. I don't necessarily love the number, but if you were to play it, you're looking at them on the first 5 run line or the first 5 or the full game run line. I don't believe in the Chicago offense. I don't necessarily believe in, Davis Martin here, even though in 38 plate appearances against the current guys on this roster, he does have some decent numbers. 228 batting average against, a 222 WOBA against, a strikeout rate of 18.4, walk rate sub 5. Reese Olson has very comparable numbers, or better, right? Like the strikeout rate's right around there. The walk rate's actually sub 3. Average against, and this is only in 34 plate appearances against. So both pitchers, small sample size, but 34 plate appearances against. He has an 0.63 average against, and then a 201 expected batting average against. So Reese Olson, I would say, has the edge in this one, even though his first start may not have looked as clean as Martin's. And I think Detroit has an offensive edge, even though I don't think that this offense is going to be amazing full season. But yeah, give me the Tigers in this spot. It's more so just fading the White Sox. I think a lot of people have been really high on the White Sox. There's a couple teams in this league that were really bad last year that people they got better and better. The White Sox are going to be a potential auto fade, except when Burke's on the mound. I do have a little bit of trust in Burke, but even him proving me wrong to some degree. So give me the White Sox. I also don't mind the idea of and under. I don't think that, like I said, this Detroit offense is all that fantastic. What if Davis Martin goes out there and does well again? I don't think the White Sox are going to necessarily do all that tremendously against Olsen. So yeah, I'll lean towards the under overall. White Sox late game could be a little interesting, so maybe a first 5 under, but like we said yesterday, we're starting off with a game that probably isn't one of my favorite spots on the board because it is just kind of weird and there's so much leaning towards Detroit in terms of odds. Minnesota taking on Houston. I went back and forth yesterday because I was like, is Houston the spot? I mean, we talked about it in the video. I leaned towards Houston, and for the plus number, I was like, maybe that is the spot to pull the trigger because they're due, right? After getting swept by San Francisco, I do think Houston's better than that, and then up winning the game because I don't think Minnesota has clicked. I feel like that's the word I've used for them altogether. Today, I don't see why it'd be any different, I guess, just in terms of the odds. So hear me out for a second. I don't know if I actually touched this myself, but you have Bailey Ober on the mound going up against Spencer Arrieta. Spencer Arrieta looked pretty good in his first start. 6 innings pitched, just 1 hit, 1 earned run, 5 Ks, 2 walks against what we'd consider a decent offense in the Mets, right? Bailey Ober looked terrible against St. Louis, which maybe we're starting to learn St. Louis is a lot better of an offense than we thought. But he only went 2 2/3, 8 hits, 8 earned runs, 2 home runs, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks, almost 30 pitches per inning. So Spencer Arrieta, even though he doesn't have the name, I guess, in the last couple of years that Bailey Ober does, I would say Spencer Arrieta may have the upper hand here, right? Like, Bailey Ober didn't close out last year all that well, and he doesn't have an offense behind him that I'm fully, behind, whereas though Houston has really struggled this season, they still have Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, they have Walker, Diaz, they have guys in this damn lineup that will hit at some point, right? So I feel like that's a spot where you consider Houston again, just because I think they're the better team and you're getting plus money for them. Like I said, though, this is a similar spot, whereas if Minnesota were to be plus money, I may flip to them because I think this is a much 50-50 more, I guess a much more 50-50-esque type of matchup than we're getting priced out at. And, Houston finally gets a win, and I don't really believe in this Minnesota team too much. So, unless Pablo Lopez is on the mound, which a lot of people have thoughts about that. So, yeah, maybe give me Minnesota plus 110 here. That's over on FD right now. Player prop that I'd consider, a guy that I could see having a good game just because of the lefty-righty splits here. Let's see if we can pull that up to get the exact odds and whatnot. So please hold. It's going to be Yordan Alvarez. I like his over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Has he had the best start to the year? No, but you'd be troubled to find an Astro that has had good starts, a good start to the year, right? Yordan Alvarez I do like in this spot here, solely because Bailey Ober may leave some stuff hanging over there. Changeup, cutter, slider, any fastball. Throwing stuff up in the zone to Alvarez in terms of what he likes to throw, like fastball, loves to throw high in the zone. His changeup he does put away, but the cutter throws high and inside too. Lefty batters, same thing with the slider, kind of inside. If Alvarez turns on any of these, we could see a big swing. The thing that probably keeps me off of it is the fact that we really haven't seen him hit a full groove, right? I mean, he's had one good game this season, and it was 2 games ago, but he's had 4 games already where he doesn't even get on base. So that's kind of tough, but I do think that could be a spot. In terms of a player prop, in terms of a total, we haven't talked about that just yet. I don't think that Houston's offense is going to explode this time, and I do think that the Twins' offense is still lacking. And even yesterday, right, this total was 2 days ago, was at 7. Did I say yesterday already? 2 days ago was at 7. We had the first 5 under in this one, and we got screwed in a sense because then the game finishes at 7. So I think I'd lean first 5 under yet again because even though I'm giving Houston's offense a lot of credit, I expect Spencer Arrieta to pitch pretty damn well. And what if Houston just does what they've done for the majority of the season, right? Like, I want to believe if we're taking Houston that their offense is there and it's going to the next foot's going to drop and that type of thing. But, and it's a big but, what if it doesn't? And what if it doesn't do it 2 games in a row? Like, there's too many ways to get to an under here versus an over. Even though I could see, the over happening, there's just too many variables that would contribute to an under more likely, in my opinion. All right, next up, we have Chicago taking on San Diego. This is one of our dubs yesterday. We had the Cubs first 5. I don't know if that's where we go to today, though, if I'm being honest. We have Nick Pivetta on the mound going up against Matthew Boyd. Pivetta in his first start looked fantastic against Atlanta, which, yes, Atlanta's looked terrible, but I still believe Atlanta's going to be pretty good You're right. Like, we have to believe that, but he went 7 innings, just 1 hit, 4 strikeouts, 0 walked, 11 pitches per inning. Pivetta shoved against that Atlanta squad. Matthew Boyd also had a decent start to his season against what we know is a good offense and has looked like a good offense. 5 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 5 Ks. He did walk 3 guys, which walks will come into a play that we've already considered here. Actually, I think, we've already played this, so I'll tell you about that in a second. It's a player prop. But Matthew Boyd here walked a decent amount of guys, in that first game against Arizona. Really, really good offense. So we have 2 pitchers that quite honestly looked good to start things off. Matthew Boyd is a lefty, and that's big with San Diego. They absolutely rake on righties. This is at least year ago's data, which we'll start using more so like this year's data probably in, maybe 5 days or so when I feel a little bit more confident in that. But I'll show you in the dashboard here, which is what I'm talking about in terms of using last year's data and whatnot. So this is the dashboard. I'll show you guys how to get access to our dashboard, our Guy Boston Sports dashboard with the Guy Boston Sports site right after we go through this. But what I want to talk about here is Matthew Boyd, obviously a left-handed pitcher, right? And you could see this last year, San Diego, number 1 in batting average overall, but they dropped to 19th against lefties. Lefties on the road, not all that great either. They actually, walk a decent amount against lefties, which is probably why Matthew Boyd, his walk line is pretty high in terms of being really juiced to the over, which helps one of our player props. We'll talk about that again, a little tease in a second. But what I'm really looking at here is, okay, San Diego should struggle against the left-handed pitcher. But when I say struggle, just compared to the right-handed pitcher, like they're still middle of a pack against this, right? But over here, you see Matthew Boyd against lefties really, really good. Okay, you have Arias, Merrill, and Cronenworth. But against righties, I guess you could say still pretty good. Like, yeah, that is good. But some of these numbers are a little bit higher than we'd like to see, right? A lefties 143 average against, righties 230. Like, by no means is that bad. It's pretty damn good. But Tatis, Machado, Bogarts, Gurriel, right? Like a lot of righties in this line to be fearful of. The thing that it comes down to for me, and we haven't even given our side yet on this, I do like San Diego for one reason, majority of what my brain is going through here. We see the pitch mix, a lot of fastballs, a lot of sliders from Pivetta. Well, Cubs, not exactly the best fastball team, and the slider, sure as hell not the best fastball team, right? You even throw in the curveball, fine, but you're only going to get that 16% of the time. Matthew Boyd, on the other hand, is going to throw a fastball. San Diego hits the fastball really well, 8th in terms of runs above average. We're looking at this section right here. Changeup, 4th in runs above average. Okay, we'll go to the slider. Number 1 in runs above average. So the top 3 pitches that this dude is going to throw, San Diego should fare pretty damn well against. So I don't mind the idea of taking the road dog in this sense. San Diego can get him for plus money right now. My one concern is that we're kind of relating that to San Diego having a good offensive day, right? This total is down at 7, so that worries me a little bit. So maybe this is just a San Diego team total over spot where we can get some good value on it and kind of hope for the best. Right now, you get them over 2.5 for -165 over on ESPN. That's a hell of a lot of juice, but just asking this Padres team to score 3 runs, which they've done so far this season in all but 2 games, you know what I mean? One of them being yesterday. They're really going to do it 2 games in a row. I'm not so sure. So give me San Diego or their team total over. In terms of a total, I'm kind of conflicted in this one. Like I would say I like the over because this Cubs team has been hitting really well, and I think San Diego has a good offensive day today. But are we missing something? Is there a large weather concern or something? I've seen wind blowing in, but no precipitation or anything like that. So yeah, I want to say over. Maybe that's a cycle alarm worthy take because of the winds, but I'm going to lean towards the over, San Diego team total over, as well as San Diego on the money line. A player prop that we are liking, Fernando Tatis Jr. under 0.5 walks. It's -155. That's decently juiced, but all of those Matthew Boyd walk numbers would point to, a lot of these guys obviously potentially being walked today because he walked a lot of guys in his first start, even though he did a good game. And some of those numbers we looked at, right? He walks a ton of guys or has walked a ton of guys, but realistically speaking, his pitch mix I don't think is going to contribute all that much to walks. Fastball, changeup, unless he cannot find the plate whatsoever, I don't think he's going to walk all that many guys today. Now, I'm not saying take his under 1.5 walks. I'm saying pick a guy that fits the pitch mix pretty well, and I think he's either going to hit the ball in play or strike out, which that would be Fernando Tatis, in my opinion, on the San Diego lineup. So I like his under 0.5 walks, meaning he can't walk today. All right, to get access to that dashboard, head over to GuyBostonSports.com. You head over to the members area in your top right here, and you can see we have the NBA and MLB dashboard. Just click MLB dashboard in the menu navigation. If you are logged in, you will see this. You can open up the dashboard, scroll through. You can print it out. You can download it. You can zoom in. I like to, like I tell you guys when I travel, print this thing out and write all over it because it just feels old school and feels good. But we get each and every game broken out, pulling from multiple sites, but broken out in a visual format so you can see how the pitcher has done, how the bullpen has done, how the pitcher, his pitch mix, how the team has done overall, but then also batting against a specific hand, batting against a specific pitch, even the projected lineup today, their averages against that hand. And what's really great is we have quantified right here how many lefties, how many righties projected in the lineup, because we also have verse lefty and verse righty pulled for the pitcher. So if you guys do want access to this, again, it's over on GuyBostonSports.com. If you are not a member, this is what you'll see when you go to access the dashboard. It's going to say, hey, hold up. You need a membership. You could say view membership levels to go ahead and potentially sign up, and you have multiple options. All sports will get you access to the NBA dashboard and the MLB dashboard and save you about $1 a month, right? If you just want the MLB, okay, you can select that one, but you don't get access to the NBA. If you just want NBA, you can select that one. You don't get access to the MLB. So I would suggest the all sports dashboard. These update every day. And again, they pull from a bunch of different websites to help consolidate all of the research for you and optimize your research process. I use this myself. This is not just some sort of money grab. Like I literally built this and then we monetized it for you guys at a price that's lower than a Starbucks coffee, per month. So go ahead and check it out if that does interest you guys. And again, it's GuyBostonSports.com in the members area. All right, we got the Pirates taking on the Yankees. On the mound today for the Pirates, it's going to be Falter. I've not been the biggest Falter fan since we've been doing this on YouTube here. Marcus Stroman takes the hill for the Yankees, which now you're like, okay, well, what are we going to get out of him? That guy went from being a really, really good pitcher to every time he throws a ball, you're like, yikes. What I will say is I think that's helping the odds in a sense, if you know what I mean. Like Yankees only being minus 160 today against Falter just seems kind of crazy, but it's because Stroman's on the other side. The good news for the Yankees is I don't think this Pittsburgh team can hit whatsoever, and what we're seeing with the Yankees a decent amount now is teams get late runs on them, and I don't necessarily think it's a total knock on the bullpen or anything like that. What I really do think it is other than the Diamondbacks, we know it's a good offense, right? So stick with me here because it happened in Milwaukee. It happened with Pittsburgh yesterday. I think when the Yankees get off to these big leads, their foot that was on the gas comes up a little bit. Like, it's just human nature, right? They're not going to play 9 hard innings when they have to play tomorrow when they're up 9-1 type of thing. They're 7-1, whatever it was. So I don't look at those 4 runs from Pittsburgh. I probably take 3 runs of those came really late. Kind of take those off the table. I know that's a crazy way of thinking, but it's just like when Milwaukee scored 9 runs against them when the Yankees scored 20. Like, is there any sort of coincidence there that's flashing a red light being like, yeah, they scored 21s, and that's when Milwaukee had their highest scoring game of the series? I don't know. To me, that makes sense. But overall, yeah, this is a spot in which I'd still lean towards the Yankees. I think that they have the far better offense. Bailey Falter is a lefty. I don't want to sit here and blow smoke up your you-know-whats and say the Yankees are better against lefties than they are righties. They're not. But Falter overall, is going to be kicking the ball. I think the Yankees should be able to tee off on him. He's going to throw a ton of fastballs, a ton of sliders. He'll go to the curve and the sinker, which those 2 pitches, actually the curve, the Yankees are kind of middle of the pack in, but Yankees hit those secondary pitches from him as well. So yeah, if Marcus Stroman can just hang in there today and pitch against a bad offense, this should be another spot to be able to go ahead and take the Yankees. Look at that total. It's all the way up there at 9.5. I don't necessarily love that because I don't know how the hell Pittsburgh's going to contribute to that. Even if this is a 5-4 game, I'd say it's a pretty good game out of Pittsburgh. So I will say Yankees team total in terms of a total, but it's probably Yankees money line or nothing for me in this spot. And then I don't have any player props as of right now. Real quick, guys, take a break from baseball so I can talk to you mostly about sleeper, but also a little bit about basketball. Tyler Hero, they have knocked his line down to 0.5 points for tonight. Go check out Sleeper Picks. If you have not yet, you will regret it if you do not take advantage of what I consider one of, if not the best deal on the market right now. The new customers getting a play $5, get $55 deal right to them. Again, you 11x that $5 entry and get $55 back. All you have to do is use that link down in the description or the pinned comment. Sign up for Sleeper. You can also use code GUYBOSS and you'll get the same thing. Deposit, place an entry, and you get that $55. I believe it's 11 free $5 rolls. So really, really cool. You get 11 free plays after that, which you could take long shots, you can take some more solidified ones, build a little bit of a bankroll over there in Sleeper. If you like player props and you feel like you know players really, really well, this is the spot to go because they have a ton of lines and squares out there, alternate lines, all that. And what I like about them is each and every play that you throw into your entry changes the payout dynamically. They don't follow a fixed payout structure. So if you are not on Sleeper yet, what are you doing? Go get this deal. Tyler 0.5 points and a play 5, get 55 deal. Absolute no-brainer. That link is going to be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Back to talking some baseball. All right, Philadelphia taking on LA. This is obviously something that we envisioned being a good series, and we saw a good game yesterday, a low-scoring game, but Jesus Luzardo went out there, pitched really well. I wouldn't even say Yamamoto pitched poorly. Like, it was a good game overall. Today, we do obviously see two different pitchers on the mound. Aaron Nola on the bump for the Phillies going up against Rokai Sasaki, which is interesting to see. Did we see, I think, who are they playing? Was it the Tigers? He had his second start, and dude was pretty much crying on the sidelines. That was, let me know what you think of this, because he only pitched, like 1 and 2. He had a bad start, and they yanked him, and then he's watching the game, he's tearing up and almost crying, and he's getting some flack on social media. I freaking love that. This guy coming over here, like, that just means that he cares. So I think it's going to be a nice little bounce back spot for him today against the Philadelphia lineup, where people might look at that game and go, oh, they should be able to rake on him, right? Aaron Nola, who obviously is a good pitcher and all that, but Aaron Nola got lit up by Washington in that game. So you know what? I'm going with the crybaby here. I like the Dodgers in this spot. You can get them for even money, or just about minus 102 over on FD right now. I like the Dodgers on the money line. Is it a little worrisome that, Sasaki pitches, finally on the American soil here and doesn't look all that great? Sure, but he looked okay when he was overseas in that first start, and then maybe he just had to shake off a little bit of the rust here in that game against Detroit. The Dodgers ended up winning that game. He just didn't look all that tremendous. So yeah, I love the fact that the kid cares that much. So, you know what? I'm going to lean towards the Dodgers in this spot. I still think that this is going to be a very good game, though. That total's up at 9, which should not surprise really anybody. You have two of, if not the two best offenses in the league. And yeah, I know we know that about the Dodgers, but the Phillies are right there. I think it's going to be a decent game. Do I think it's going to be a high-scoring game? That number 9 seems right on the money. I think if you were to put this at 9.5, I'd lean towards the under, and if you put it at 8.5, I'd lean towards the over. So that's how annoyingly spot on this is, at least in my brain. So I will say, I guess I'll lean towards the under because I am kind of pumping smoke into, Sasaki there. And Aaron Nola's probably due for a bounce back, and I kind of trust those starters. So maybe a first 5 under with some late run score, but just know, I'm being honest with you guys, that total seems like I could see a 5-4 game 100 times out of 100, which probably means it's either going to be like 1-0 or 10-8 because I see a 5-4 game. But yeah, give me the Dodgers as well as a slight lean towards the under. No, I'm still digging in this game for player props. Haven't found anything yet. So if we do add anything like we always do, I will make sure to give a little blurb in the final play. If we didn't talk about it, I'll give a little blurb. All right, Washington taking on Arizona. We cashed with Arizona yesterday, and we have a good price with them yet again today. I'll still continue to back this Arizona team as long as we can get good numbers behind them because I believe heavily in this offense, as we did last year. Mitchell Parker on the hill, and he looked pretty good against Philadelphia. That was that 5 we just talked about. Honestly, Aaron Nola, right? Same game. Whereas Mitchell Parker went 6 1/3, 0 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, but he did have 7 hits against him, so he got out of some pitches. Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound, he didn't have the greatest start against the Cubs in his last outing. 5 1/3, 3 earned runs, 2 home runs, 3 walks, just 5 strikeouts. So sure, I would say you look at this and quickly you say, pitching advantage towards the Nationals, right? Which I guess is fair to say just kind of like off the jump, right? Right off the rip, I guess you could say that's fair. But At the same time, when you look at the sample size, so Eddie Rodriguez against this Nationals Diamondbacks roster, 35 plate appearances against, not a crazy amount, but 267 batting average, expected batting average against, an expected WOBA of sub 300, strikeout rate of 25%. You flip it over to Mitchell Parker, pitching from the left side, only 23 plate appearances against, so keep that in mind, an over 302 batting average against, or an over 300 at 302 batting average against, expected slugging of 200, 400, I can't even read this thing right now. Expected WOBA of 360. So yeah, and he has a 13% walk rate compared to a 13% K rate. I think Arizona could get to him today, as they have been doing. Very good against left-handed pitchers as well. He also is going to throw a ton of fastballs, a ton of splitters, and a ton of curveballs. Using our dashboard, you can see right here. Fastball, great. Splitter, great. Curveball, great. Look at this lineup against left-handed pitchers. You like green, so I do think this is a decent spot here today to take a peek at the Diamondbacks yet again. Now, this total's at 9. I thought about their team total because just like last year, the Diamondbacks, they'll play some tough games and whatnot, but I think they'll score runs. I was looking for 4.5 for plus money. You're only getting minus 110 right now. So I think, money line's probably the only thing that I'm fully, I guess you could say, comfortable with, if that. The one thing I also get worried about is, if they keep winning, keep having these good games and whatnot, are they at some point going to get tired? Like, their bullpen's fairly taxed here. Their closers, both of the guys went yesterday. I think they have 2 situational closers, right? A lefty and a righty, Puck, and can't remember the other guy's name. But either way, it's like, maybe this is a pivot to a first 5, but then we're putting the ball in Eduardo Rodriguez's hands, so I don't fully trust, right? So this is a tough one. I think if you give the more innings to the Diamondbacks to score runs, is better, so I will lean towards Diamondbacks on the money line, and then a slight lean towards the over. Because, like I said, Eduardo Rodriguez is not necessarily a just shut down, count on him, game in and game out type of a guy. This was a 6-4 game yesterday. Washington scored early. I was like, this one's probably, chalked, and then Diamondbacks raced back in the 5th, and they scored 2 runs in like the 6th or 7th too. So yeah, I think it's a good spot. I do have a player prop that I like in this one, and I think this one's going to be one that we ultimately end up rolling with because I do like the odds we're getting. Josh Bell, minus 115 right now. This is in the minus 120s on some other books, but under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He has some decent numbers against Rodriguez, so that's fair if you don't like it, but him against left-handed pitchers, his batting average drops, his WRC plus drops, and Eduardo Rodriguez against right-handed batters, everything looks a lot better. So last year, 5.04 ERA. Against righties specifically, which isn't always the case for lefty pitchers, 3.72 ERA. That's a hell of a lot better. Batting average against, 277. Against right-handed batters, 222. I worry a little bit about the fastball. Josh Bell's numbers do go up against the fastball, but the changeup being another pitch that Rodriguez is going to mix in, and when I say mix in, it's going to make up nearly a quarter of his pitch mix. Really, really bad numbers from Bell. So I do like this spot. Rodriguez likes to throw the fastball high in the zone. Josh Bell hits the fastball, so this is the one that we talked about him hitting. He hits it when it is low in the zone, and then the changeup, he really hits only when it's over the plate, whereas Rodriguez should get a little cute with that today, looking for him to chase. So I do like Josh Bell here under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. That'll probably end up being a final play. Red Sox taking on St. Louis. This one is simple for me, and it's, funnily enough, not a biased pick. It's really, for me, something that I think has data behind it. 2 reasons. I think the Red Sox, better offense than this St. Louis team. You have Andre Palante on the mound going up against Richard Fitz, as we like to call him, Dick Fitz. Okay, we don't have any Richard Fitz data against, this Cardinals offense. And we do have some Palante data, not so good, but it's a very small sample size, so I don't think it's even worth going into. But first reason, I think the Red Sox have a far better offense. I might be wrong because we're starting to see St. Louis look really, really good, right? Second reason, both these guys are just going to hum fastball as their main pitches. Red Sox love to hit fastballs, and I think they've been able to hit, righties, if I'm not mistaken, the last couple of years, including this year as well. They love to hit the fastball. St. Louis, not exactly so much. So I think the Red Sox here at home against a fastball thrower should be a good spot, and it's kind of as simple as that. I would probably consider Red Sox first 5, though. Have you seen this Red Sox bullpen? They're a little worrisome. So Red Sox first 5 would be the look here for me, and then I don't mind an over because I think the St. Louis offense, like I said, is better than at least I thought. I think some people were early to that train, but I would say better than a lot of people thought. Next up, we have Kansas City taking on Baltimore, another team that came back for us. I know we went 6-0 last night, but the Diamondbacks came back. Kansas City came back. Chicago came back. Or Chicago, I guess they came through in the clutch inning there in the fifth. But today we do have, like I said, Kansas City taking on Baltimore. Michael Wacha on the mound going up against Sugano here for the Orioles, which I think we're still waiting to see, exactly what we're going to get from Sugano, at least this season. He looked pretty good in his first start. Toronto did get the win, though. Michael Wacha on the other side also looked pretty good, but both these teams, they lost the game. They went up against two offenses that are still kind of not worrisome, but not exactly sure how they're going to pan out. So this is a tough one to, I would say, judge. I don't mind Baltimore evening this one up. It's really line reading in a sense, though, for how I'm getting to this one. I would have thought that Baltimore, after losing yesterday, Kansas City coming back and that type of thing, that Baltimore might be more like plus 110. Them sitting at plus 102, plus 100, losing 3 straight games, I expect a bounce back spot, right? So this doesn't have the most data behind it. This isn't the best reason to go about it, but if you understand what I mean, I would have assumed, based on how Baltimore's playing, based on how they lost yesterday and blew it, that they should be, based on, the pitching, Michael Wacha looked okay in his start. We should be seeing plus 110. The fact that we're seeing plus 102, and on some books, minus 105, minus 102, that type of thing. So plus 102 being the best of the number, I think that is very telling. So I like Baltimore here in this spot. Might even be, and again, they were winning for a decent amount of that game yesterday. So this may be a spot where we actually end up rolling with it as well. I think Baltimore ends up bouncing back today. But again, there's not much data backed in that. It's more so situational and that type of thing. In terms of what we do have from a total here, I don't mind an under. I think that, Wacha and Sugano both had decent starts, and this one could finish like a 4-3 type of game, which would be a run under. Unfortunately, again, I wish I had more data, but this is kind of a situational play if we do end up rolling with it. Texas, Tampa Bay. I already have one play that I really like in this one, and it's something that we cashed yesterday. I like the Nerfy in this spot. Jacob deGrom's on the mound for the Rangers, which I think we can trust him, right? And obviously the odds are kind of correlated to that. Taj Bradley on the mound for this Tampa Bay team, which Taj Bradley's like a completely different pitcher when he's on the road and when he's at home. Pretty good at home, not so much on the road, right? So I guess we're playing with fire a little bit there. But in terms of, being on the road, actually, he's cashed his last 2 road starts. They were both last season, cashed the Nerfy. And then DeGrom, when he is at home, he's cashed his last 2 home starts. So I do like the spot here. Again, it's kind of why we took it yesterday. Not so much a full backing of the pitching, but a definite fading of the offense, right? That's realistically what this is. Now, this game was, 5-2 yesterday? I could see a similar score. So if you like the full game under and you want to trust the same thing with fading the offense, sure. But I like the idea of small sample size, eliminating all the variables. Just go get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? 6 outs, 3 on a side, and we'll be happy campers here. Another play that I started to consider was the idea of a team total under for this Tampa Bay team. DeGrom looked really good against that Red Sox offense. 5 innings pitches, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. Did walk 2 guys, but only threw the ball less than 15 times per inning. Taj Bradley on the other side looked okay as well, but he pitched against Colorado. I don't want to give him too much credit. And was that at home? I think it might have been a home start as well, right? But nonetheless, point being is that I think what we really have the sample that we can trust, which would be the Red Sox offense. DeGrom looked good, and he's going to throw a ton of fastballs. Tampa Bay not all that great at hitting that. He's going to throw a ton of sliders, as we know. Tampa Bay a year ago, 4th worst in terms of runs above average against the slider. So yes, I think the Nerfy is probably my main spot to peek at in this game, but there's definitely part of me that either wants to double down and have something else going in this game, and or I guess I should say separate it and say, okay, let's go under 3.5 runs for Texas. Nerfy, again, probably my main spot overall, though. And Texas money line, but they're a little bit priced out at this point. I don't mind Texas first 5 run line. In fact, what is that at right now? If we look at them, meaning they have to win the first 5. Texas, minus 130, that could also be a look. They've actually, this season, been fantastic in the first 5, if I'm not mistaken. They are, let's see, this season to start the year, they are 6-2 in the first 5. They're 6-2, I think, straight up. So I guess either way you play it, they've been trending well. But I don't trust their offense enough to get that 1-run advantage. So I think the Nerfy guys said 10 times. I think the Nerfy's my main play here. And then with what I predict to be a low-scoring game does come a couple player props. Yandy Diaz under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I like that spot in terms of the pitch mix. I think that he's going to fare pretty poorly, and DeGrom will fare pretty well. He also doesn't hit right-handed pitchers that well, and DeGrom pitches really well against right-handed batters, so all that checks out, right? And then Jock Peterson on the other side. Considered this one, I like the pitch mix, right, of him against Taj Bradley. Don't like Bradley on the road. Don't love the splits for Peterson against righties. He does pretty well. So maybe this is just a spot where we say, all right, let's pump the brakes and we'll just take a peek at Yandy Diaz. If we have the Nerfy in this game already in a player prop, I don't think in one of the weirdest games on the board we need to sit there and have 3 plays open, right? So I would say it's Nerfy and Diaz most likely in terms of what we're ultimately end up rolling with in this one. So just keep an eye on the final plays. You guys will see what we end up rolling with. Mets taking on Toronto. We got Chris Bassett on the mound for this Toronto team going up against Griffin Canning for the Mets. I want to get to an over in this spot. I think that that's kind of where my main objective, if we were to call it, is lying right now. But I think we have really bad weather, at least what I saw last night. So that's why this total's down at 7.5. At that point, I would say this is most likely just a Mets spot, then kind of a gritty, grindy game at home. But I don't think I touch this one with the weather. So I'd go Mets and probably flip to an under if the weather is all that bad. Maybe we'll talk to some of our connects over in that area to see if they have any idea on how it's going, because that has definitely helped us a couple times this year. Even guys in the comments living in like the Midwest and being like, it's like a tornado coming through here right now with winds and rains and like a hurricane. And I'm like, oh, under. So yeah, this is probably one that we don't touch because that's a massive variable, especially earlier in the year. And then we have Griffin Canning, who looked good in his first start. Chris Bassett looked good in his first start. Neither pitcher I really like all that much. I hate to do it to you. This is probably a good game if the weather permitting, I should say. But to me, it's just not one that I touch. Just give me the Mets and the under. That's as kind of quick as we looked at it. All right, guys, if you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 35. You made it past the 35-minute mark, 3-5. Really do appreciate you spending some time with me, and we're going to try and keep this thing going in the MLB. No promises, as always, in this industry, but love coming off of a 6-0 night. Let's see if we can keep that thing going. So go ahead and comment 35 down below in the comments. Next up, we do have Milwaukee taking on Cincinnati, which I've kind of said now for a couple games. I think it's going to be a good series, but I almost expected, more fireworks, and we have a 1-0 game and a 3-2 game. Now, Milwaukee has won 4 straight games, so you got to give them a little bit of credit, right? Now we have Elvin Rodriguez, though, on the mound, going up against Brady Singer, and a lot of people sit there and say, I don't think Brady Singer's going to be all that good, and not that he was really all that great last year or anything like that, but I do think that he's going to be a nice little add to this team. He's going to throw a lot of sliders, which Milwaukee does hit very well, and they do hit righties fairly well. They are at home, so it's tough to really want to get behind this Cincinnati team, especially with that being said. But is Cincinnati really going to lose 5 games in a row? I don't think Elvin Rodriguez is sitting here as a stud pitcher, so screw it. Give me the plus money team. Give me Cincinnati on the money line. I think this one could also be a game that we do see some runs in there as well. So, yeah, we've seen multiple low-scoring games from the Cincinnati side of things. Then also, Milwaukee, I would say 3 low-scoring games in a row. You could even make the argument that that game 2 against Kansas City, where they won 5-0, was low-scoring, but they would be like, we scored 5 runs, buddy. Just Kansas City didn't. So I think this one's going to be an over. Let's let everything return to form. Water always finds its level. ATL taking on Miami. This Atlanta team obviously has been in the struggles, but what did we say yesterday? I said at some point they're going to win. They're priced out. We can't take it, but they're going to win. Maybe look at their team total over. They won 10-0. Now, we didn't roll with it because I still want to see a little bit of consistency out of them, but I think everything kind of strikes me as the same today in terms of our take on it. We have Cal Quantrill, who I've always disliked in a sense, going up against Smith Scheuer, so it's like I don't think that there's any reason to, and I'm not saying Smith Scheuer is like that great, but I don't think there's any reason to back Cal Quantrill. This is probably a brave spot, but you'd have to look at them, over 4.5 runs, which they've only done a couple times this year. So, yeah, Atlanta team total over, that'd be all that I consider, kind of fading Cal Quantrill, but I'm not going to lie, his pitch mix, as weird it is, his pitch mix kind of fits fairly well to perform decently against this Atlanta team. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but his pitch mix looks okay. And then Smith-Shawyer, same thing. So maybe, yeah, Atlanta team total over, but Miami team total under could be the play, because then we're just kind of trusting the fact that that offense isn't all that great. But this one is another one of those games where you look at the price tag, right? Like anything you find in favor of Atlanta is going to be tough just because of the price, honestly. Colorado taking on the Athletics. We have on the mound here German Marquez going up against JP Sears. Two pitchers that I don't think that we really should be investing much trust in, but at some point we might have to, because my play today might be fading science again. Might be. Let's talk about it in a second. But JP Sears didn't look all that bad. It was against Seattle, but he had 7 Ks, 0 walks, and 6 2/3 in that game against Seattle. And then German Marquez, 6 scoreless innings pitched against his Philadelphia team in his first start of the year. This dude, I thought, stunk, and he looked really, really good there. So maybe we do have two pitchers that have a little momentum behind them coming into this one. We won this play yesterday. We had Colorado team total under. The game ended up going under 9.5 as well. It was 6-3. I think we look at the same thing. I don't think either one of these offenses is all that great. Now, we are in cores. I know that the altitude and all that, but, science isn't real, right? Altitude's not real. Give me the under 9.5. It's a little worrisome because Marquez could go out there and just get absolutely roasted, but you know what? At the same time, maybe he pitches like he did in that first game against Philadelphia and looked really good. Like, everybody loved Philadelphia, and they ended up doing fine after he came out, but scoreless innings against them was crazy. JP Sears, on the other hand, hoping that he can kind of just get the job done, doing what he does. If I had to pick a side, I'd probably still trust the Athletics here, but the under's mainly the thing that I'm looking at. I don't know if we play with fire that much. We rolled with it yesterday, faded science, and you really want to go up against science multiple times in a row. At some point, the probability is going to get you, right? So yeah, my hypothesis is an under. Don't know if we actually put it down there as a final play. San Fran taking on Seattle. If you watched yesterday and heard me talk about this matchup, you'd probably be laughing and saying that I'm a dummy, because I did the whole breaking down Luis Castillo pitching for the Mariners, completely forgetting and unaware at the time that they do have Luis F. Castillo. They have another Luis Castillo on their squad, so that was tough to see. Luckily, we didn't touch it, and I didn't back any actual, I didn't put any bread behind it, but we spent 3 minutes breaking down the game as if he was pitching, and you know what? We're owned to womp womp for that. But we have Robbie Ray on the bump today going up against Bryce Miller. Both these pitchers obviously have had their ups and downs. I mean, Bryce Miller didn't look all that great against the A's in his first start. Robbie Ray didn't look all that great against Cincinnati in his first start. Neither looked terrible, just didn't look all that great. So where do we come out on this one? First off, I don't mind the idea of a Nerfy here. The Giants, obviously, a better offense than I think people are giving them credit for. At least I can say personally that I had given them credit for. But I'm kind of on the train that, yeah, this is going to be at least an average or above average offense this season. But I think that the fact that, Bryce Miller and Robbie Ray kind of had dicey-ish starts, I don't mind the idea of them kind of bouncing back in this spot. And Bryce Miller specifically, because we know Seattle's offense is terrible, right? So now we're talking about how are we going to get no runs in the first inning or first 5 under. Those are the two things that I'm looking at in this one. How are we going to get San Francisco to be kind of bottlenecked? Well, he's going to throw a lot of fastballs. San Francisco not all that great against the fastball. His next pitch is the splitter. San Francisco last year, second worst team at hitting the splitter. So I love to see that. The sinker's his next one. They're okay against that. And then he throws the slider. They're below average against that. So I think the pitch mix really looks good. And surprisingly, Bryce Miller had a decent season on the road last season, and he's really good against righties, which that's good because a couple of these righty bats, Adames, Chapman, Ramos, and I feel like there's one more that I'm missing, kind of worry me now. Lee and Wade Jr. are two lefty bats. He kind of struggles against lefties, but still, getting through those first 3, I think should be, or at least first 4 maybe, if one of those guys gets on, should be okay for Bryce Miller. So yeah, I'm going to take a peek at, again, first 5 under. Right now you can get that under 4.5 for -160. That's kind of juiced. And or going to take a peek right at the first inning. Going to say no runs in the first inning. I don't mind that. I think that is a decent look as well. It's actually we might roll this. It's -135 over on Caesars right now. It's in the -150s on other books. So I think that that's going to be something that we surely consider. In fact, I think it checks out. I'm going to put that in as a final play. So you'll see that there. I just placed it. So quarter unit, no run first inning in this one. If I had to pick a side, San Fran's offense is better. But, at the same time, I think Bryce Miller is going to pitch well. This is I mean, this is the type of thing when you guys are listening, don't let me talk you off of something, because if I'm pausing, if I'm kind of going back and forth, clearly I'm not all over it. I would say Seattle evens this one out, but maybe I'm just a little bit too late still to that San Fran train, because I know a lot of people are liking them right now. Angels taking on Cleveland here. Cleveland coming off of the win. Angels coming off of the loss. I guess that's how things work. We do have Kokanovic on the mound going up against, who is pitching? I think it was Tanner Bybee, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. This is a high-scoring game, though, right? Was it 8-6? And I will say that this Cleveland team, kind of impressed. I've said that Cleveland's had their struggles. They got to that bullpen pretty well. They scored 2 runs early, and then they scored like 6 runs. I think it was exactly 6 runs, 5 innings and on. Angels at home probably is what I'm taking a peek at. Not that I like Konovich, but again, I stick, and what is this, Kokchanowicz? I don't know how to say his damn name. I just don't know if I trust Cleveland's offense. I think Bybee's going to be better than him, but, once you look at it from a plus 130 perspective, I think it's more so I don't want to take Cleveland at minus 150. Like, we played the Yankees against the Pirates yesterday at minus 150. Do we really think Cleveland deserves a minus 150 price tag? I don't. So that's kind of why I like the Angels. I don't know if I get there myself. I would imagine I don't, but that'll be a spot for me. And I also don't mind the under. I don't think that either one of these offenses is going to keep doing what they have been doing. I would more so say the Angels have had multiple high-scoring games. I think that they returned to earth. Maybe Bybee kind of suppresses them a little bit. And then Cleveland's offense, they had scored over the 3 previous games before this 4 combined runs. So I think that they returned to form a little bit as well. Give me the under. Guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you spending some time with me. It was a long video, but that's what you're going to get on these 15-game MLB slates. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.